So it got cut off. So I'm just gonna wait for Daphne to get back on because she was in the middle of saying something important, and it was really interesting, and I would love to hear the end. Here, she's here now.
About the balance between, we're so teaching them what to do, right, in that situation, right? So if a child is feeling unsafe or dysregulated, even, right, whatever they're feeling, they know they can come to me. They know they have this person in the school that understands them and they can go to, that can calm them down. Or like you're saying, like a corner. In a lot of schools, they're working on making like a little corner, whether it be in the classroom or like even like a room in the school, like a cool down room, or for older kids, kind of like a chill area where they can just, like, if they're really escalated, they can go there and try to calm down. So I don't think that goes under that category of, not letting them, learn things. They're actually learning self-regulation skills, de-escalation skills. They're learning to who I feel comfortable with when I need help, that they're learning. So I don't think that, I do think that that possibility does exist when people do everything for a child and enable them and don't give them the skills. I think that concept exists, but I don't think that this particular thing causes that, right? You're teaching them how to self-regulate and what to do to self-regulate, or who to go to de-escalate. It's important.
So how would you teach a parent? I guess you kind of did say what you would tell a parent, say, like similar to what a therapist would do, is you don't have to agree with what the child is doing, you have to validate. Right?
Yeah, but meaning,
like,
what do you mean?
Oh,
in that situation.
A parent who is one of those parents, so like that would normally be like, suck it up, like don't be such a baby, like, get up, and like those kinds of parents who really would tend to be like that. How would you kind of teach them that balance between toughen up and validate?
So I have to say it's a hard one, and I work with a lot of parents who I personally disagree with their parenting styles, and that's one sense. But I also have a lot of parents who use physical discipline. I personally don't agree with it. It's, and again, my personal views are not the point there, obviously, but I'm saying therapeutically what I feel is correct is not necessarily what they're doing. So same example. And the best thing to do with those parents is psychoeducation. I'm just going to simply give them the education that I'm giving you right now. Like you said, I'm going to tell them, this is what you're doing when you tell your child, toughen up, give it. You're invalidating them, and they're not going to feel comfortable ever coming to you, right? So do you want your kids to come to you with their problems? Of course you do. You're their parent. You care about them and you love them and you want to be close to them, right? So even though you don't realize it and you're trying to just, strengthen their skills, and I totally get that, but at the same time, what you're doing is actually invalidating their feelings, and you want them to feel validated by you so they can continue talking to them when they feel different feelings and when they need help. So in order for you to facilitate that process with them when they need it, you have to be able to validate how they feel, even if you don't, like you said, even if you don't agree, even if you think they're being, you think it's not a big deal, but you still have to validate that they feel that way in order for you to maintain that that trust in the relationship.
And that
right?
trust in the relationship, it would be extra hard if the parent is uncomfortable with emotion in the first place anyways.
100%. I would also educate them on that.
Like a parent going to therapy rather than.
Right. And I would even ask the parent, do you feel like, I would even, like, on that note, I would even ask the parent, do you feel uncomfortable, like you said? So it seems like you feel uncomfortable with someone feeling that way. Is that something that you struggle with, right? Do you feel uncomfortable experiencing those type of emotions? Because a lot of people do. A lot of people feel uncomfortable experiencing negative emotions, but it's actually a really important skill to learn for anybody. So you can also use their own experiences to help them understand. So that's definitely one way also. But it's about the relationship, it's even with the parent, right? So you work with the child, you work with the parent. And I definitely try to, maintain a relationship with the parent enough that they'll be able to hear me out, right? If I want them to hear me out, I have to validate them and have to, maintain my relationship with them, right? So you have to understand where they're coming from. And even though, it's difficult, right? So I can give an example, like I was saying before. So my views aside, but I had a parent who, was hitting their child when they were angry, and the child was coming to me and telling me, right? So first I had to determine if it was real abuse. Mother basically told me it's not real abuse. I never, it wasn't really a question of abuse. It was more a question of parenting, right? It wasn't abuse, but after I investigated further, but it was just a method of parenting. And I was psychoeducating the parents of the negative effects of physical discipline. And, again, it's not about me putting my own, but I felt that since it was affecting the child so much, it was really important for the parent to know. And I said, your child is coming to me and telling me this. So obviously this is really impacting them in a significant way. So I was really just putting it on on their child basis, not making it about myself, obviously. And the parent explained to me her perspective. And she said that, she doesn't hit them hard, and she doesn't, it's not abuse. It's just that she feels that they won't think that something's really important. That she feels that it's really serious. She doesn't hit them. Right? So when she's mad about something that they did or didn't do, she feels if you don't use physical discipline, it doesn't work, right? It's not effective. And I obviously very much disagree with that.
All I hear when I hear that is, if you think that you have no other tools in your tool belt, then your kid will also have no other tools in their tool belt. That's all I hear. But sorry, I shouldn't be judgy.
No. So
I should be judgy because I don't believe.
Right, but that was my whole perspective. I'm like, forget about my personal views about it. Right. So this was my struggle. Yeah, 100%. I was sitting there and I was like horrified, right? So aside from, no, we're losing connection again. Are you there? Sorry.
I'm here.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah, so this is very hard for me.
How do you keep a face? How do you keep your face like perfect? Like I would sit there like
right. So you have to work on it. Right. So I really had to work on it because I was a little bit horrified, that she's, this kid is coming to me and I'm trying to explain to the mother how much it's impacting him. And she's kind of like, well, that's the only way he'll listen. And I spoke with her for about an hour. It was a really long conversation. I was like, I totally whatever. And I said, I understand you want to show that. I said, there's many ways to show children that you're serious without using physical discipline. I told her about the negative effects. I told her that about other strategies. I told her that her son is coming to me and telling me this. So obviously this is something impacting him in a very negative way. He's telling me he's sad about this all the time. This happened a couple of times. Like I was doing everything I could. And then it came to the end and I realized like it was really hard for me, but I have to validate her and I have to understand where she's coming from. And I said at the end of the conversation, I said, listen, this is not my place to judge. Like once I determined it wasn't abuse, it wasn't really my place to tell her what to do. She's the mother. So I said, I put on that face, right? Like that's really hard when you don't agree and you're kind of horrified. It's like, I understand where you're coming from. And I kind of just, and she said, because she said to me after I hit him, I go and comfort him. So in my mind, I'm like, what? Like, I still thought that was, not the correct approach, but she thought that was, making it better. Whatever it is. But
to me, like if I was the child in the situation, that would be very confusing. Like you're hurting me and then you're coming to me and comforting me from your hurt.
Right. So it was very complicated on many. Yeah, but no, I 100% agree with you. I was like, nah.
This is why I'm not a therapist, because I would never be able to handle these kinds of situations. It takes a lot of talent to dance.
It was a tough situation. Yeah, it was exactly. But that's my point. But you know what happened? I realized, I said, I don't want a negative relationship with this mother because I don't listen. I'm, not thrilled about this, but it's her son. She's not abusing him. She has a right. And I said, I sort of ended on like, a little bit of validation, and I understand. And to this day, we have a very good relationship. And you hope that relationship, there'll be other opportunities to keep giving that education, right?
Can you hear me? Did it cut out?
So that I wouldn't what?
Um,
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Exactly. Exactly. So
cutting off.
right. So the mother would not let me work with the kid.
That's
The
so
mother
hard.
would not get
I
along
know,
with me.
that's
She would never
seriously
talk
why
to me
I
again about any other issues. It's really hard, but you know what? I think that this mother is more likely to listen to me in the future because of that conversation, because she knew I didn't agree with her. See, that's why validation is not agreement. It was very clear
Right.
throughout our very lengthy conversation that I did not agree with her whatsoever. After I educated her and I tried, I said, you know what? Okay, that's what you think, and he's your son and whatever. And we kept our relationship, and to this day we have a very good relationship. And I think that's only going to be better for her son, the fact that her and I have a good relationship. And hope one day that because of our relationship, she may listen to some of my, education on this stuff. Maybe not, but that could be the hope, But it certainly wasn't going to happen if I destroyed our relationship. That's for sure,
Right.
There wouldn't have been a chance.
Right. But that's
So
I mean, that it's also the same with teachers and students and parents and their children. And these relationships are very like if you don't have that validation, then you don't have the relationship. That's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying? Shoot, it cut off. What?
I got cut off. No, I'm here. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. What
did you hear
saying?
what I? No. So I was saying that what I understand from this is it's. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Cut out.
No, now I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, now?
So what I understand from this is it doesn't really matter what the relationship is, whether it's a therapist and their client, or a teacher and a student, or parents and their child, that it's all about the relationship. And if you don't validate, and that's like the best take home message. If you don't validate, you won't have the relationship.
Right. So there's actually an example in the positive discipline book that I was mentioning before about between a mother and a child, about validating the behavior and maintaining the relationship first. So there was a girl, and she told her mother straight out, I'm going to a party to go get drunk. Right. So the mother was, first thing is like, are you kidding me? You're not going anywhere. Go back to your room. What are you, right? So she's about to give her whole rampage. And then she's like, let me use a different approach. Right. So she's like, well, why would you want to go drink? And then she says, oh, because it's cool, whatever. I don't know, whatever it is, right? And then she's like, are there any reasons why you think it could be bad for you? She's like, yeah, it's probably not really good for me, and it's probably overrated and whatever. I don't know. She starts because the conversation is so calm, she's able to kind of, do that. And the mother validates her and says, well, I understand why you would feel, the pressure to want to go and do that. And then the girl, after being validated and being able to come up with in a very calm way the reasons why maybe it's not such a good idea, she's like, nah, I won't go. So, obviously that doesn't always happen that way. You validate and the person listens to everything you say. Clearly that doesn't always happen. But the point is that, especially in situations where, you're not necessarily, listen, even if she said to her kid, no, you can't go, her kid could sneak out the window and go anyways, right? You don't always have so much control. Mm-hmm. So you can't control the person's behavior, so you might as well keep up the relationship, because that's what you could control.
Right.
So it's sometimes about that, right? So it's not like I want, she wanted her kid to go out and get drunk, right? But right. She knew she can't really control her, so she might as well let her talk about it in a calm way and keep up the relationship, and her daughter can make her own decision.
Rabbi Noah Orlowick wrote a book called Raising Roses Among the Thorns. Have you read it?
I've heard about it. I don't think I've read it, but it sounds very familiar.
So I read it when my kids were younger, but I don't think I really got it until my kids were a little bit older. But at that point I had read it a few times. And he talked about that a lot. It's about maintaining the relationship, and the parents who just kind of like he gave an example of this rabbi whose son didn't want to keep anything anymore. He didn't want to be religious, and he wanted to have a relationship with his son, and he didn't pressure him to go to shul, or he didn't pressure him to do anything. Just every single morning he put out a washing cup with water in his room, and he left it there consistently, and and he just kept up the relationship, and eventually the son wanted that connection with the father again after his and he wasn't turned off, right? I feel like a lot of parents get so nervous when kids kind of dabble in their teenage stuff, and then they ruin the relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
So
100%. And I think the important point is that whether or not they become religious again or not is not even the point, right? Maybe they'll then come back and become.
That wasn't the point.
Right, exactly.
It's just that they have a relationship with their kid.
Exactly. So whether it's being religious, whether it's engaging in negative behaviors, that kid is gonna self-harm anyway. So
I don't remember if the kid actually became religious again at the end, but I thought it was beautiful that the father that relationship was important, and it's not about you're not trying to create clones of yourself.
Exactly. Even if the father even if the father wanted him to be religious, that wasn't the point. The point was to maintain the relationship. And even with kids who are self-harming or are suicidal, right? Unfortunately, they're going to be doing those things anyway. So you might as well be a part of their life so they can tell you about it, and then you can support them, right? Mm-hmm. They're doing this anyways. They're not, so they're going to hide it from you. If you get mad about it, they're going to hide it from you. I can't tell you how many kids I work with who, when they tell me about being suicidal or self-harming, the last thing on their mind, you can't tell my parents. Oh no, but they're petrified. And I said to them, but you didn't do anything wrong, right? You're not wrong here. You're suffering and you're in pain, and your parents should be there to support you. And unfortunately, I've had parents prove the point of the kid, kind of prove the kid's fear by coming and getting mad or dismissing it or not believing it. And it's really sad. But the thing is that you're not changing how your kids behave. You're just changing the way that you can be there for them during that time and maintain that relationship, which is in your control. Everything else is not in your control anyways. So it's important
when they're little, when the kids are little, you could get them to do what you want. When they're older, you can't. It's a different relationship.
Nowadays the toddlers have become teenagers, But in general, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I guess so. Actually, that's a chapter in his book. It's called Twos and Teens.
Oh, really? That's really funny.
And how did this? Yeah.
The similarities between the rebellious toddlers and their rebellious teenagers.
Mhm. Yeah. It's very cute.
That's really funny.
There's definitely if anyone's watching this and they're not into religious, it does have a religious slant, so that book, it's a great book if that's your what you're into. Can you hear me? So it keeps cutting out. So do you have some closing remarks and some book recommendations and some follow-up information?
Yes. Well, I just want to say thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Rebecca, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk about this and to really be here with all of you and just talk about something so important. Um, Book recommendations. I definitely recommend Charlie's book on DBT. The exact title is, of course, not coming to me at this very moment, but
You can send me a picture. I'll put it on a story.
yes, I can definitely do that, right? So it's that's the trainer that I went to for the DBT training, and just talking about the DBT concepts. If anyone's interested in DBT, I know this wasn't about DBT, but because we use the principles of DBT, of the validation levels, there's a big part in it, about DBT is a lot, is very focused on the relationship and about, the validation. Anyone has any further questions, any further comments, please message me. I would love to hear from you about anything else you want to know, about validation, about anything else we discussed, about my work, anything else. I'm really excited to hear from you all, and this was really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Have a good night, and it's nice to be back.
You too.
After a long break.
Yes, well, welcome back.
Back to a bright room.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, so we'll be in touch, and yeah, if anyone wants to message Dafna, follow her, message her. All right. Have a great night. Bye.
You too. Thanks, Rebecca. Bye.